Okay, this lesson is about ellipses that are not centered at the origin. So if we're talking about a horizontal ellipse that is not at the origin, that was the ones that are shaped this way, then my equation is x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. And if I'm talking about a vertical ellipse, which is the ones facing this direction, I have x minus h squared over b squared plus y minus k squared over a squared equals 1. Now let's compare these. The h and k still go with x and y. That would be our center. Those are still going to be opposite of what it looks like in the problem. And then on the bottom, it's like we talked about yesterday with ellipses, where if the a squared comes first, the larger number is first, it's horizontal, and if the larger number is second, it's vertical. So our center is hk. A is still bigger than B, and a squared minus b squared equals c squared, and that's how we find our foci. Let's look at an example. Number 1, I want you to determine the equation and sketch the graph of the ellipse. If f1, that's the focus, the foci, 8, 3, and f2 is negative 4, 3, and the length of the major axis is 14. Okay, so we're going to use this information that we're given to find the stuff that we want to know. Once we do, we can plug that into an equation. So let's start with our center. And if we think about the things that we know about an ellipse, the foci surrounds the center. So in between the foci, we've got from 8 to negative 4, and it's on 3 as far as your axis is concerned. So this part doesn't change, right? Between 8 and negative 4, there are 12 spaces, Half of that would be 6, so that would be halfway in between the two foci. And 6 away from 8 is 2. 6 away from negative 4 is also 2. So my center is 2, 3. Again, that's using the halfway between the foci. If you wanted, you could use the midpoint formula there. Okay, that's our center. Our vertices. Our major axis tells us about our vertices. Those are 14 spaces apart. And if they're 14 spaces apart, they're at 3 is still their y, because that surrounds the center. If they're 14 apart and the center is at 2, half of that would be 7, and 2 plus 7 would be 9. And 2 minus 7 would be negative 5, 3. Okay, again, I'm just going to do the halfway, start at the center, and move in each direction. So, if I do that, my A then is halfway in between. My A is 7. My C, so my C is 8 to negative 4. That was 12 spaces apart, so half of that is 6. And if I have my A and my C, I can find my B. So I'm going to do A squared minus B squared equals C squared. A is 7 squared minus B squared equals 6 squared. So 49 minus B squared equals 36. Subtract 49 from both sides. Negative B squared equals negative 13. Flip your signs on both of those, and B equals the square root of 13. Okay, once I have that piece, then I want to write out my equation. So I have x, and use my center, minus 2, remember the signs flip, squared over, and then I'm going to do y minus 3 squared, so I can deal with my center, and those are going to equal 1, and then I use my a and my b. Now, my major axis is 14 apart. I also know that my foci, the 3 is what stayed the same. And so since the x value is what changed, that means that this is a horizontal ellipse, meaning my bigger number is here. So a squared, 7 squared is 49, and b, 13 square root of 13 squared is 13. And so this is my equation. That was a lot of back work to make that happen. Let's go ahead and give that a sketch. If I start with my foci, which is what I was given, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up 3, that's this number here, and negative 4, 3, those are my foci. I'm going to do my center at 2, 3, which is halfway in between, as you can see. My vertices are at 9, 3, and negative 5, 3. My co-vertices are at square root of 13, which is about 3.6. So I'm going to take from here and go down 1, 2, 3, and a little bit, and then up 1, 2, 3, and a little bit to get to 3.6. And round that off. I'm getting that 3.6 from this number, which is my B. And that's how far from the center I'm going up or down. And so we've got all the pieces that we need. And now you have an assignment, which is A8. And that's page 750. It's numbers 1 to 6, 43, 46, and 48. And your homework should be good practice. Be sure to come to tutorials if you need more help on that.